All right, Greg Miller, SFA Volley Blog interview series during preseason continues, and we are on the floor right here. We're right center front, right in spot 3. It's where all the middle blockers hang out, and so that's what we're going to do today. Kelsey Harrington is here after we got a chance to talk to Peyton yesterday. So, Kelsey, thanks for being willing after a long morning practice to be willing to sit down and chat.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I remember actually watching these my freshman year, the seniors, and so it's kind of exciting to be on the stool now, watching and giving my own interview.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to you audio plenty of times, and I was thinking last night about this. Have we never had to sit down and chat?
No.
That just shows you what COVID stole from us. Golly. Well, we're going to talk about a little bit when you're a freshman and changes from then and now. In fact, that's kind of what we're doing right here is getting through all the gals that are listed as seniors on the roster before we have scrimmage on Saturday, 1 o'clock here in Shelton Gym against Northwestern State. But, it's sort of confusing now when you look at rosters because it's tough with COVID to know, where is somebody academically, where is somebody athletically. So just give the folks kind of a feel of both of those things. Where are you in terms of your eligibility and where are you in terms of academics and progress here at SFA?
So as far as academics go, I graduate this December, so I'm taking a full course load. I took some summer classes, but I'm expected to graduate in December. Eligibility-wise, I actually do have 2 years on top of this year. So I have the COVID year, and then I have a redshirt year from my sophomore year that I was injured. And so I'm obviously can use those. We're going to kind of see how my body holds up, kind of just how everything pans out, but definitely keeping my options open. I'm not shutting any doors just yet. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So.
And, sometimes when injuries happen and you lost an entire season to one, they're not the focal point of what gets discussed. Of course, those of us around here kind of know what that happened. We've got a lot of new folks that are watching these and folks that are new to some of the new players. Just kind of now that we're kind of out from that injury, we're going to talk a lot about it going forward, but let's talk just going backward a little bit. Just remind the folks what happened and I mean, you had a long rehab to get back to be able to play a full season last year.
Right. So to shorten this as best I can. So freshman year, I started having issues in my lower legs and the fibulas. It's on that side, kind of right by the ankle. I kind of dealt with that for that entire year. We saw some doctors, didn't really get any answers, and just never got better. So the sophomore year, I finally was just kind of we need to get this figured out because I can't keep doing this cycle of being injured and being hurt, or being injured and being healthy. And I need to be able to be on the court and be useful. And so eventually we kind of got that figured out. In April of my sophomore year, I went to a doctor in Tyler. He's a foot and ankle orthopedic guy, and he was like, let's just I don't know why this is happening, but we can put some rods in your legs. So I actually have two metal rods in my legs. I know, I joke, I'm like part robot now. It's funny, I'm like, yeah, the airports, I go off on the metal detectors, but no. So I got those put in, and since then, because it was basically just these micro stress fractures that just couldn't seem to get better, they weren't healing, not really any answers, but that was the solution, and thankfully that solution has worked. I've been feeling great since then, so that was the April, and then going to my junior year, it was probably a 4 to 5 month rehab or so, and then I was cleared in that August during 2 days, and since then we've been smooth sailing, so grateful. But yeah, definitely a long journey, but so much to be thankful for, and so much I've learned since then.
Wow. I mean, it has been a long process, and I remember watching you that sophomore year, being in here on the bike and just thinking about all the things going on in the background. One thing, and you and I have talked about it before last year, but one thing that really impressed me that I want to get across in this interview to the fans that are watching this is last year in WAC play, we went to Phoenix, and we played 3 games there. And so all of us were holed up in the same hotel and bussing around, Phoenix to practice in these matches. And one morning, really, really early at breakfast, I saw you at breakfast, and you already had video going, and it's the break of dawn, and you're studying, and you're asking assistant coaches questions and stuff. And you got in those matches in Phoenix. But then a week later, when we came back here, it was October 30, and we played RGV, and you went bananas, had career high, 11 kills, hit over 700, and had 11 blocks in that match on a double-double. Describe your approach to preparation, because I've always been impressed, but that's something you clearly take very seriously.
Yeah, so when it comes to preparation, I mean, we talk about the things we can control, right? And when we talk about on-court responsibilities, it's like communication, your effort, your attitude. And so it's like when it comes to scouting opponents and how we prep for them, I mean, one thing that's you can easily do that doesn't require any kind of physical labor is just to open up your laptop and watch film. And, you know, we go over film, coaches tell us, like, we have access to it. And so that's one way. And honestly, it just makes the game so much easier. Like, you don't blindly go into a game wondering, like, oh, I don't know what this person's about to do, but it's like, no, like, I've watched this, I've seen this, I'm familiar with it. And so by doing that, I think it just helps me to understand, be more calm, and also just helps everybody else know, like, hey, I got your back. I know when this happens, this will, you know, pan out this way, that kind of stuff. And so yeah, it's just controlling what you can control and like taking that extra effort to just put in the work. I mean, everybody else is wanting the same goal as you, so what's going to put you that step above? And that's one easy way you can do that.
You've done a really good job of integrating that, and I think that really showed during October of last fall. You know, that's a big change between a collegiate athlete and a high school athlete. And you talked earlier about, you know, your freshman year. You came in with Peyton and you came in with Audie and some others that are not here now. But as we kind of go through this first week of getting a chance to talk to those gals, tell me a little bit about that history with those two, with Peyton and Audie. Now it's, you know, going on 4 years. That's got to be sort of a special bond, knowing that the three of you have survived all these things, and each of you has had your kind of various path to get to a point where you are integrated into the club. But that's got to be a special group.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's like we talk about it all the time. We're like, remember freshman year when this, and remember that, and we always talk about just even the previous seasons. And those girls are really just like my sisters, as well as the rest of the team. But it's like to have that special bond, you know, going each year with them. Like, we've been through it together and we've done it together, and it just makes it stronger because it's like, you know, we did survive this together, we did achieve and accomplish this together. I think that's just so much more special is when you create those relationships. It just makes everything better. And so yeah, I'm like, it's weird to think that like it's not gonna last forever. Like, I'm not gonna be with them like playing volleyball for another 10 years, but like I've just cherished it thus far, and I'm like so thankful and so excited to see what we have in store for this season.
During the time that you've been here at SFA primarily run two-setter offense, and you know, last year you know, you had Taya Mitchell in there with you in the middle, and you got 149 swings. That was good for 7th total. So, I mean, obviously those outsides and rights getting more sets than you. But you hit 362. That led the team. For your career at SFA, you've hit right at 330. And I went back and I counted. I think it was almost a dozen times you hit over 500. So your tendency offensively to this point has been, maybe you're not getting 15, 20 balls a match, but you're getting 7, 8, 9, 10. And you're doing that, you're hitting with a really high efficiency. So what's the recipe there? What is it for you that keeps those attack percentage numbers so high? I mean, they're high for middles, but I mean, yours are really high.
So that kind of also boils back down to scouting. That's one thing that it's like, okay, these shots are open. Like we train and we learn and figure out what's open. And so also, like, you know, so if I know this shot's open a deep corner, I'm going to try to swing there every time that it is open and available for me to hit, or just taking out the setter, even just simple, like hitting those seams. And just like over the years, my volleyball IQ has improved so much. So it's like when in bad situations, you don't just blindly swing and just hope that it's going to make it, right? We have to be strategic, because also we don't get as many balls, and so like the outsides are the ones that should get more errors in the game. And so just like learning and working through mistakes, obviously, just like throughout practice, you kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work, and just like I said, just studying and figuring that out. I think it's just been also just learning how to use my arm. I think that's a big thing, is just knowing how to use your arm swing, how to tool, how to do the crossbody, wrist away, all that stuff. So
I think that last part's really important, and that wasn't something I had thought about asking, but just thought about it just now. You know, you talk to outsides a lot about different shot selection and coming in and developing as a hitter during the college age, and not just thundering the ball down, but developing a diversity of shots. And Peyton talked about that yesterday. That's something I think I've seen you do as well. You definitely have the strength to put down a really strong ball, but I think for you, a lot of that efficiency comes from a variety of shots and using the whole floor. Would you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I think mine is not necessarily like this. Like you think of Alon and she like her hits are just like, oh my gosh. And it's awesome, but that's not always like I'm not always like the flashy. Sometimes I feel like I'm more strategic but a point is a point. And we always talk about that. We're like if you get a point, a kill is a kill no matter what. And so that's kind of what I've boiled down to is you don't have to be flashy. You don't have to like have this crazy kill. It's like no, just get the point, be strategic, follow the game plan. So
I think that is so important, especially in a six-hitter offense, the fourth, fifth, sixth options to understand is that if you're going to get 10 balls a match, you've got to have an efficient 10 balls, or you're not going to get those 10. Yesterday, Peyton was talking about. She mentioned Corinne Evans and Ann Hollis, and then Julia, who, of course, we all know is such a central part of SFA volleyball and its history. Who were some of those players that when you were a freshman were your mentors?
Gosh, honestly, like if I can answer and say all of them, like that's my answer. Truly, each one of them, and like Dee Dee and Czar, that's the other two that I would add in there. Obviously, those were the five. Like they all played such a different role in my life, but all contributed in such an amazing way and added so much value to my experience and just like what I learned. It's like, I had Dee Dee as a middle. Like Danye was a really good middle, so it's like I looked up to her, but also like everybody's just fun. It was fun to be around. Julia was like that one you could really go. I mean, you could really go to any of them. Not saying that you can't go to any of them, but like Julia is like that really personable, but like also fun, goofy, on the bench, understood like roles, especially. She was very good about that. And Corinne, Czar, like I have nothing but amazing things to say about them. Like I would truly say all of them. That senior class was incredible.
And now, of course, the tables are flipped. I mean, you have both an on-court role, but you also have that mentorship role. Yesterday we talked about, we added players at every position on the floor during the off season. Some of them were here during the spring. One of them is new middle transfer, Jemiah. And we got a chance to see Jemiah Anderson today in action on here. And she, again, good size. And then one player that I've been particularly impressed with is Isabella Ortiz, who came in, has had a good camp, I think, so far, at least in what I've seen. So with those two middles, one a junior from Ranger College, Jemiah, and one freshman from Flower Mound, Isabella, what are your thoughts about those two, and what are your thoughts about just sort of the mentorship role of being flipped now with, like you mentioned, Dee Dee?
Right. As far as they go, they work so hard, and they're also they're like a sponge. Like they just soak up everything that a coach tells them, or even like a player. If I want to tell them something, or someone else has feedback, like they just soak it up and they want to get better, and they make me better for that too. Because it's like when they're playing their best, it's like, man, no, like I need to play my best because that's just healthy competition, And just like learning from them has been awesome. But as a mentor, I mean, it's just leading by example. Hopefully, I can give any kind of volleyball knowledge that I have, just like playing with like joy and just like having fun, because that's what it's supposed to be. So just like I would like to impact them in that kind of way, besides like the actual skill level and stuff like that. But I mean, I can only hope that I'm doing that, but as far as they go, they're great. I love like having them in our middle group, and even like Ashley, like seeing her. I mean, she still helps me on. She's not able to do much right now, and so it's like that little group is also really special to me, and they just like hold a special place in my heart. So, yeah.
Kelsey Harrington. We're going to talk to Adi Pagan probably on Friday. Keep looking for these interviews all season long. It's so good to get back to sort of these sit-and chats now that we've kind of got a little bit more freedom to kind of be able to do that. You can follow on Twitter at SFAVolleyBlog. Make sure that if you are local, or even if you can get here from around East Texas, 1 o'clock on Saturday we'll have a scrimmage, and then the Jacks will begin their tournament preseason part at SMU 1 week from this coming Friday. There'll be 3 matches next week. They'll all have them for you. I'll all have them for you on radio when we get over to Dallas. Also, and this is just sort of a throw out to the fans, Kelsey and I have a little bit of a pre-match ritual. I'm not going to give it away, but let's just say if she goes on an ace run, I might get a little bit of a prop. So you guys can watch for that. It's fairly obvious. If you watch pregame, you'll see. But Kelsey and I have kind of developed this pregame ritual. So watch for that on Saturday and during the season. Kelsey, always so good to talk to you. I'm glad we're going to get a chance to sit down like this, and we'll do more of this during the season. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.